the links to send me comics or to support my cocaine and hooker fund. I hear soy boys on Twitter saying that the comicsgate model of selling expensive books on Indiegogo isn't sustainable. Maybe. It doesn't matter. It works right now. Internet businesses don't last forever. But it's a question of a desirable product and getting it to the customer. If YouTube dies, we'll all just move to DLive and BitChute. If Indiegogo and Kickstarter fail, we'll throw a website together and take orders. Social media just creates the desire. Everything after that is just details. Once they smell the bacon, their mouths will water. I remember when some of the ex-Comicsgate guys were saying, maybe Kickstarter wasn't so bad because how do we know what really happened with Zach's Jawbreakers? And I was thinking, well, we have his side of the argument and a few years of Zach being a very rational, reasonable guy. Also, the assumption is that since Kickstarter is the larger platform, he would want to advertise on it. So with these data points, I'm willing to trust his side of the story. Then Mike Miller put a comic on there, and it got rejected because it showed MS-13 as the antagonists. And when you look at Chairman Mao with the blue hair, who is making the decisions, and you look at her social media and realize that she is a commie, it's safe to reach the conclusion that Kickstarter is a platform for pretty much communists. Well, it turns out that commie weirdos aren't good with money. Well, no doubt. They are choosing who to allow on their platform based on politics because they're pushing an alt-left agenda of hate and racism, because that's what people on the left generally do. I also wonder, how hard is it to replace Indiegogo? Why not just add a feature on Indiecron that takes orders? Which brings me to the topic of rocking the Comicsgate boat. I mentioned that I didn't think the fighting was helping Comicsgate as a whole because the growth has almost stopped and it's been stagnant for a long time now. But then, and in some cases, it's actually decreasing. You get a negative growth in some channels. That's not good. But then I started to think about it. The big projects and channels that are getting six figures, they might not care about this as long as they are getting paid. If you just made six figures on a short page count comic book, then you don't want to risk that. But if your campaign is sitting at $20,000, then you may want to start to examine all the issues that relate to helping increase sales. And when you're making a comic book, from what I've heard, $20,000 is not a lot of money to get going. But it might be a good first campaign. The bickering I see between adults is pure, I'll edit out, I'll say artistic bundles of stickery. Autistic faggotry. That all right of center people should be ashamed of, much less adults. But what can I do about it? How do we beat the spurg out of middle-aged adults? Can Mike Pence's electroshock treatment work? I'm willing to try it out on them. Butter up those nipples. Also, not to start a conspiracy theory, but if the audience isn't growing, then the big channels don't want to stop fighting and help the smaller guys because there's only so many buyers to go around. But I think if they stopped fighting, the growth would start picking up overnight. In case you haven't noticed, there isn't as much content as usual, thanks to the Woo Flu Fuck China. Now is the perfect time for a little teamwork. Let's get gay together. Teamwork is especially important for the smaller factions, though why there are factions at all is beyond me. But I don't have a big brain. I don't understand these things. Maybe someone can explain it to me. Maybe one of you big brain creators can explain it to my smooth brain. It's better to pool your audience. You have 7 days a week to do live streams on alternative channels. Make use of those days and nights. Oh, and regarding the short page count thing, short books are not for me, but if you're selling them and making money off them, more power to you. Also, I see people selling books with almost zero social media footprint, and then they end up with a $6,000 campaign. Social media is 90% of your job in making a project. That means making videos, doing live streams, and going on other people's live streams, even if you really don't like doing live streams. If you're selling a product, you absolutely have to put yourself out there. People need to know that you're not a nut job, basically. Also, I see some guys, no names, but they're well versed in an area, but then they don't talk about that area. It's kind of crazy. I see these super talented people talking about stuff that nobody cares about, stuff that is not their strength. Are you on YouTube to just hear yourself talk, or are you selling a product? These three guys I'm thinking of in specific, they're like drummers who play a little guitar, so they spend all their time playing guitar. Nobody wants that. I see a lot of potential comedy team-ups that just aren't happening because Tommy is fighting with Billy. Well, you aren't children. You are businessmen or ladies. Do you think all the famous comedy team-ups all loved each other? No, they got along on camera so they could sell a product because that's life. And mortgages don't pay for themselves. And Porsches don't pay for themselves either. If you want to sell a product, people need to know about it. So the idea is to cross-pollinate, misspelled, your audience. Also to make nice and entertain people on a live stream so people can come hang out, relax, and have fun, i.e. grow the audience. I mean, this is not rocket science, but apparently artists and writers need a course in Business 101. Disney Star Wars toys aren't selling, but the soy media wants them to sell. The difference between the seller deciding what is best for the customer versus the buyer deciding, or in a nutshell, the difference between socialism and capitalism. One of the Disney Star Wars toys is a model of Holdo, a blue-haired lesbian childish weirdo in an evening dress with a laser Liberty device. Okay, can I have a quick show of hands to see who wants one? Nobody. Absolutely nobody wants a toy of a 60-year-old grandmother. Are you kidding me? The reporter in this interview was interviewing the toy manufacturer and saying, so when will you be selling the Disney Wars busts and models? Because they are eagerly anticipated. The seller's like, are you sure about that? Because nobody has put an order in. We're not going to manufacture something if we can't sell it. But that goes against the narrative that girl power films will be big business, which is proven false by the recent failures. You think what failures? The Disney Wars films did well. They don't understand that the toy sales can be bigger than the film itself. Okay, so this guy says, Wyman, needless to say, the episode 9 shelf has some room for more characters. Are there plans to continue making product from that film? I will say from what we have seen, the sales of the products from 7 and 8 were not too strong. I know those movies as well as 9 have their fans. Here's where he's trying to be careful. And those fans might say GG just never did the right products or characters or formats, and they might be correct. However, we can only go by what we know. Fair enough. Rise of Skywalker, and so this guy, Wyman, tries again. Rise of Skywalker hit theaters. It looks like there were just 3 pieces up for pre-order at this time. Those being the Sith Trooper minibus, Kylo Ren, and the Kylo Ren. Interesting. I would imagine there are some very requested characters. You know, your imagination is robust, especially in the ever-popular mini line, bus line that fans would love to see. Names like Emperor Palpatine, fair enough, because he's from the originals. Oh, actually, I guess he's from all 9. Poe Dameron, maybe. Zori Bliss, who? Babu Frick, I don't know who that is. Lando Calrissian, yeah, because he's from the original. C-3PO, yes, one of the originals. Can you speak on when we might see more characters from the final chapter in the 9-film saga? As I said before, you effing moron, we're working on some, the 3 dudes, but I have to ask, are you sure there's lots of demand for these very requested characters? Money talks. Listen, money talks. You know what I'm talking about. The overall demand for bus and Star Wars products is not what it was 10 or even 5 years ago because the movie sucked sweaty balls. Sorry. It's not just our issue either. The brand is very strong with The Mandalorian and The Clone Wars. And here's the thing. The Mando, that was overrated. Now, a lot of people think, oh, the Mando was so good compared to Disney Wars. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It was much better than Disney Star Wars. It was okay. It still had some woke stuff in it, though. I mean, did it feel like Star Wars? It felt more like Star Wars than Disney stuff, but it's still woke. I mean, you literally cannot, or you can, I mean, you can make any film you want. A big company like Disney literally will not make a non-woke film. And by woke, see, I don't know who's listening to this. I don't know how honest you want me to be, but I'll leave it at that. Yeah, they're just not going to make a film that feels like the original universe. They can't get away with that. They could, if they wanted to, if they just say, hey, you know what? We want to stack cash. Let's sell something that people want. Screw these naysayers. They just won't do that. We like to make more products. It's not like we're sitting behind our desk wringing our hands thinking, how can we stick it to fans and not make busts that will make us money, right? Yes. We have not seen enough fans that would want to buy a bust to have that personal affection for some of these new characters. Makes sense going to production. But sure, we're watching. Yeah, okay. Nobody's buying the products. Anyway, guys, you want to like, comment, subscribe, send me email, biancazombie602@gmail.com, or hit up my P.O. box if you want to send me a comic or art or something, or you want me to review your comic. And I will say that I like to edit people's comic books, and I know those videos don't get a lot of views, but they're so much fun to do. So if you have some writing that you want me to edit and give a shot at, I enjoy doing that. So anyway, I'll listen to you guys all next episode. No boy wants a toy of a girl. Two young girls running around. The two dudes? Yeah, maybe. But, I'm just keeping it real. These are not going to sell. Anyway, I'll see you guys all next episode.